Every town has a dark side. Finding a long-lost buried treasure would be absolutely life-changing. One minute, you're digging in the sand at a beach or in the dirt of your yard, and then you hit something solid. Only it's not a rock or a tree root, it's a chest. And inside it's filled with gold doubloons, gemstones, and jewelry worth countless sums of money. You're now set for life. While most people would love to go on the hunt for treasures like this, only a few really can. The reality is, if you're going to put in the work, well, you need to have the proper equipment, which is usually expensive, especially if hunting under the ocean. And more importantly than the gear, though, is you'd have to know where to look, which is the hard part. And even to the experts, well, that's all just educated guesswork. However, in 2010, one man set out to flip the treasure hunting game on its head. And for better or for worse, he wanted to level the playing field and give anybody with a sense of adventure the chance to feel the excitement of tracking down $2 million. And from that, the Fen Treasure hunt began. Only it wasn't all fun and games as intended. There were some very harsh consequences. 5 deaths in total, among other things, when all was said and done. Hey guys, it's Andrew, and thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Every Town, where today we're going hunting together for the elusive treasure that Forrest Fenn buried out there somewhere among the Colorado Rockies. It's a very cool and exciting story that ended up causing some real problems for a certain few. And this tale, which was supposed to be wholesome and good-hearted, is a microcosm of why we the people just can't have nice things. So let's head over to the Rockies now and go searching for the Fen Treasure. Known to some as the real-life Indiana Jones, Forrest Fenn was born in Temple, Texas on August 22, 1930. He was the second of 3 children. He was destined for a life of adventure and exploration, which he detailed in The Thrill of the Chase, a memoir, an autobiographical book in which he recounts many of the most memorable and exciting moments of his life. In his early years, Fenn and his family traveled to Yellowstone National Park, about 1,600 miles from Temple, on a trip that could take up to 45 hours by car. And there, he enjoyed fishing and spending time with his family, and exploring the forests and mysteries of the Rocky Mountains with his older brother Skippy. In his own words, Fenn felt that it was almost as if he was trying to relive the mythical expedition of explorers Lewis and Clark more than 200 years ago, which unlocked many of the secrets of the then young American territory. And it was an exhilarating feeling that never faded within him. As he grew older, Fenn knew he didn't want to sit behind a desk for the rest of his life, and so instead focused on a career in the military, becoming a pilot in 1950. As an Air Force pilot, he saw more than 328 combat missions, even being shot down twice during the Vietnam War. During his work, he traveled to many places all around the world, each one showing him the wonders of different cultures and the jewelry and artwork they produced. This all deeply influenced Fenn's future. And after the war, and with several military decorations to his name, Fenn decided to devote himself to what he was truly passionate about: treasure hunting. During this new phase, Fenn threw himself wholeheartedly into finding, trading, and selling valuable artifacts and relics from around the world. By 1973, he had enough money and inventory to open the doors of Fen Galleries in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It was an art gallery run with his wife Peggy, where one could find such impressive and diverse relics as a mummified falcon from King Tut's tomb, the peace pipe that belonged to Chief Sitting Bull, and a spiritual center of Custer's last battle valued at $1.1 million, among many other similar items. Thanks to its unique collection of antiques, Fen Galleries went on to become known worldwide and was a huge success. The gallery employed 16 people, stayed afloat for more than 17 years, and grossed nearly $6 million a year. It was regularly visited by celebrities such as Steven Spielberg, Steve Martin, and Ralph Lauren. But Fenn wanted more from it all, and he was destined for something even greater. In 1988, after his father died of cancer, Fenn himself was diagnosed with kidney cancer. The near-terminal prognosis was grim, but after overcoming and surviving his illness, Fenn set out to leave a lasting legacy and asked himself this question: well, what can one person do that could have an impact 1,000 years from now? With this idea in mind, at 80 years old, Forrest published The Thrill of the Chase, a memoir, the autographical book that hit the shelves in 2010, in which he shared some of the most exciting stories of his life, fascinating tidbits, and of course, the announcement of the treasure. It was during the time when he was knocking on death's door with the cancer that Fenn came up with the idea of starting a treasure hunt that anyone in the country or even the world could participate in. The ultimate goal of it all was simple in his mind, as it was meant to help lift the spirits of those struggling through difficult times.
In 1988, I was diagnosed with what everybody thought was terminal cancer. But besides that, we were going into a recession, and I just wanted to give some people hope.
By creating this, he was hoping to inspire people to explore the world, nature, and the land that had brought him so much joy over the years. Fen's treasure was hidden inside a bronze, old, ornate, Romanesque-style chest measuring just 10 by 10 by 5 inches. Inside was a detailed list of relics, ancient figurines, a 17th century Spanish ring, about 260 American Eagle gold coins, gold nuggets, a jar of gold dust, 2 gold discs, assorted jewelry, rubies, sapphires, diamonds, Fenn's autobiography, a 2,000-year-old necklace, and finally, his favorite turquoise bead bracelet, found in a cliff dwelling in Mesa Verde National Park, which he requested be returned to him when the treasure was found. In short, it was a small fortune worth about $2 million. Now, at first, people weren't sure if he was serious, and thinking this was just a ploy to get people to buy his book. And it was, but also it was very real. Fenn wanted to sell copies, but not because he wanted the money, because he wanted people to go out on an adventure. To encourage explorers to try their luck, Fenn included a small challenge within the pages of his book, a 24-line poem that, in his words, held the key to finding the treasure, hidden somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe. How far north, who knows, but that was part of the fun. And the book, which contained 9 clues in total, became a bestseller. And to avoid being labeled a sensationalist writer or fraud who made up the treasure to sell books, Fenn actually declined all the proceeds from the thousands and thousands of copies that were sold. In the end, the book, which Fenn admitted he wrote to get people off their couches, served its purpose. I am more than pleased with how the book has been received, he wrote, and many have read it several times looking for additional clues or hints that might help them in their search. And Fen's treasure hunt became a social phenomenon. From 2010 to 2020, some 65,000 people from all over the U.S. joined the adventure. Many took their enthusiasm to the point of moving to areas near the Rocky Mountains, investing their life savings and devoting themselves entirely to finding the treasure. According to Fenn, anyone could find it if they wanted to, so long as they had the 3 essentials: the 24-line poem in his book, a map of the Rocky Mountains, and a basic knowledge of geography. And before we move forward, I'll read you the poem to see if you can pick up on any clues yourself. It said, "As I have gone alone in there, and with my treasures bold, I can keep my secret where, and hint of riches new and old. Begin it where warm waters halt, and take it in the canyon down, not far, but too far to walk. but in below the home of Brown. From there is no place for the meek. The end is ever drawing nigh, and there'll be no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high. If you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down, your quest to cease. But tarry scant, marvel gaze, just take the chest and go in peace. So why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? The answer I already know. I've done it tired, and now I'm weak. So hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. If you are brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold. So the premise was cryptic, though simple enough. But unfortunately, things got a little out of hand. Like hundreds before him, motivated by the possibility of riches and adventure, in January of 2016, 54-year-old Randy Balu, who lived in Colorado, had set out in search of Fen's Treasure. He bought a raft and ventured into the Rio Grande, equipped with a GPS device, a wetsuit, and waders, accompanied only by Leo, his small and faithful dog. Randy, after reading the poem, thought it might be hidden underwater, perhaps behind a waterfall. After exploring the area for 2 weeks, though, Randy disappeared. At first, people didn't think much about it, but as hours and days passed, Randy's friends began to worry about his lack of communication. And fearing the worst, but hoping for the best, one of them contacted Randy's ex-wife, Linda. After a week, she filed a missing persons report on January 14th. Things escalated fast from there, and soon Randy's raft and dog, who was unharmed, were found the next day, but Randy wasn't anywhere.
His dog and inflatable raft were later found along the river about 9 miles downstream from his car. Right now, search crews are working by air and on the ground to find him.
Authorities launched a search, but had to call it off eventually due to a lack of leads or any other information. And the problem was, though, that Randy was still out there somewhere. If the poor guy was lost and alone, leaving him wasn't an option, so concerned friends, companions, and close family members threw themselves into the search. The situation was alarming, but there was still hope. Because Leo and the raft had been found, it didn't appear like there was an accident. At least not one anyone could see clearly. And besides, it wasn't like something like this hadn't happened before. 3 years earlier, a Texas woman had gotten lost in the mountains near Bandelier National Monument in New Mexico while searching for Fen's treasure. Unfortunately, she was found and rescued the next day. It was only a matter of time, hopefully, before Randy showed up and everyone could laugh about the scare. The problem was that time passed and Randy didn't show up. And even as the search became more desperate and more people joined in, including Forrest himself, there was no breakthrough. And finally, on July 18th of 2016, Randy's remains were found by a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers team near the Rio Grande, north of Cochiti Lake. The body was in an advanced state of decomposition, making identification difficult, and forensic experts were unable to determine the exact cause of death. It was speculated, though, that he may have succumbed to hypothermia, dehydration, or even a heart attack, as he had a history of hypertension. Randy's death changed the perception of the treasure hunt altogether, proving that despite the good intentions behind it, Fen's hunt was not a game. The media didn't stay quiet, and in fact, this is where a large portion of the population heard about the treasure hunt in the first place. Linda told the Albuquerque Journal that she was grateful for the search and rescue efforts and the dozens of volunteers who have helped look for any sign of Randy over the past 6 months. But she also blamed Fenn, holding him at least partially responsible for the death of the father of her 2 daughters, who died searching for a treasure she believed was more fantasy than reality.
Was he actually searching for the treasure or for a possible illusion? I truly feel that he was manipulated to believe it was there. I don't want anybody to get hurt.
"We are disappointed that he lost his life because of a treasure hunt," she told the media. "And there is no treasure, it's not real. He lost his life because of a hoax." However, those who suspected that the treasure hunt would end or be canceled in the wake of the tragedy were soon proven wrong. Fenn expressed his condolences to the victim's family, but insisted that the treasure hunt was not dangerous if approached with common sense. He openly stated that the treasure was not anywhere a man of 80 years couldn't put it. A short time later, on June 8th of 2017, 53-year-old Jeff Murphy was reported missing by his wife. And prior to his disappearance, Murphy, originally from Illinois, told his family that he was planning a short hike in Yellowstone National Park in an attempt to find Fenn's famous treasure. Jeff was found dead by rangers on June 9th, just one day after they received the call. The rangers conducted an extensive search using agents on horseback, climbers, dogs, and a helicopter. Although the park rangers were discreet with details, it was confirmed that Jeff Murphy had died after falling down a steep 500-foot slope while searching.
Murphy's wife said he was searching for that hidden treasure. Search teams eventually found Murphy's body. The autopsy revealed he died from blunt force trauma after falling 500 feet.
And sadly, he would not be the only fatality in 2017. Paris Wallace, a 52-year-old pastor from Grand Junction, Colorado, had told his family and loved ones that he was interested in joining the adventure. And nothing seemed to concern his family until June 14th, when Paris was supposed to attend a family reunion but didn't show up, setting off alarms among his relatives. The search for Paris didn't take long. On June 18th, at least a week after he was last seen, authorities in New Mexico found his body about 5 to 7 miles downstream in the Rio Grande. His car was found parked near the Taos Junction Bridge. To close out 2017, it's important to mention 31-year-old Eric Ashby, who was found dead in the Arkansas River in Colorado on July 28th that year. Eric had moved to Colorado the year before to devote himself to the treasure hunt. Everything went well at first, but after June 28th, no one heard from him. He was last seen rafting on the Arkansas River, where his raft violently capsized. Ashby remained missing for more than a month until his lifeless body was found about 10 to 15 miles downstream from where he disappeared. The Fen's treasure hunt was now getting attention for all the wrong reasons. The excitement of the search had now been replaced by obituaries. The phenomenon claimed 4 lives and, as expected, sparked a massive controversy over the treasure hunt. As before, the families of these victims harshly criticized Fenn and his treasure, claiming that it was a scam and a simple, money-making scheme to sell books at the expense of the curiosity of people who believed in his lies. On top of that, the treasure hunt sparked various controversies that endangered property. For the first few years, these controversies didn't seem to bother anyone and were barely a blip on the news radar. In 2013, an unidentified man was arrested in New Mexico for digging under an iron cross at a public shrine near Pecos River, damaging a cultural artifact, and he was looking for the treasure. The following April, Yellowstone National Park rangers arrested 2 people for possessing a metal detector and digging in the park. A month after that, a couple was arrested for camping without a permit and starting a fire. All of them were out there searching for Finn's chest as well. As the years went on, things sort of spiraled out of control. After the 3 people lost their lives in 2017, in 2018, Fenn himself got caught up in the whirlwind he started. That year, a Pennsylvania man named Robert Miller was arrested after he broke into Fenn's home and tried to steal a Spanish-style chest, believing it to be the treasure the elderly explorer had been talking about for years. Fortunately, things didn't escalate any further as Miller was caught red-handed and held at gunpoint until the police arrived.
Could Get on your knees. Get on your knees. I know. Get on your knees. Get on your knees.
I am.
Cross your feet.
Oh, I can't do that. I thought the poem directed me into here. I thought it said,
Poem.
yeah, the treasure map, the treasure hunt, you know?
Legendary one up here.
Yeah, the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt.
However, this situation made it clear that things were getting complicated. Because, well, people are complicated, and greed can be a dangerous thing. In one final tragedy on March 21st of 2020, 53-year-old Michael Sexton was found dead in a remote area near the town of Lander, Wyoming. The circumstances of his death were not entirely clear, but it is suspected that he may have succumbed to the harsh conditions of the environment. He was with a friend who was close to death, only they later recovered at the hospital. And the reason they were out there in the first place was, of course, to find the treasure. The issues surrounding the hidden treasure didn't go away easily. However, after a decade of attempts and tireless searching, someone finally found Fen's treasure. His name was Jack Stoof, 32-year-old med student from Michigan, who heard about the treasure hunt in 2018. With the treasure found, you'd think the search, the controversy, it would all end there, but really, when are things ever that simple? At Jack's request, Fenn only announced the treasure had been found, but never revealed the identity of the person who discovered it. And thus, a controversy began anew. Fenn's silence was interpreted by many as a deception, a ploy by the old explorer who, having gotten what he wanted, be it money, attention, or simply getting people off their couches, decided to end the search for a treasure that never even existed.
But so far, Forrest has been mum on the man's identity, saying he learned the search was over when the man emailed him a picture of the treasure and in a post describing the secret location under a canopy of stars in the lush forested vegetation of the Rocky Mountains.
Suspicions grew not only because Fenn kept the name of the person who found the coveted treasure secret, but also because he chose to keep the location of the treasure hidden. To reassure the public, Fenn released some photographs of the chest and himself examining it a few weeks after Stoof delivered it to him in Santa Fe. Although this was enough confirmation for some, others weren't satisfied. In July of that year, Jack Stoof suggested to Fenn that he reveal the final location of the treasure. And maybe he would have, but within just a few short months, Forrest died on September 7th of 2020 at the age of 90. And 2 weeks after that, Jack published A Remembrance of Forrest Fenn, an essay in memory of the explorer, whom he described as a friend despite having met him only recently. In it, he said, "I am the person who found Forrest's famous treasure. The moment it happened was not the triumphant Hollywood ending that some surely envisioned. It just felt like I had survived something and was lucky to come out the other end." See, he understood that by finding an item that so many people coveted, it would put a target on his back. And jealousy, envy from those who wanted the treasure and had spent their own time and money looking. Well, Jack was now their enemy. And there's still controversy around Fen's treasure and whether it was found. The idea that Jack still hasn't revealed the location where it was discovered makes many believe that something's not right with this whole story. And Jack understands that. The fact that people have died looking for it, you'd think the least you could do is tell the world where it was. But Jack fears that if this spot is revealed, then it would become a pilgrimage for treasure hunters and Fenn fanatics. That unfortunately, it is a pristine place that wouldn't be appropriate to turn into a tourist destination. Forrest Fenn certainly accomplished what he set out to do, and get people out there dreaming of finding riches, but not just in their heads, but by having them go out there and walk the walk. It is unfortunate that people passed away while looking. However, the reality of any adventure is that it cannot be worth anything unless there's a risk to take.
I didn't anticipate that people would die searching for my treasure, but in the back of my mind it had to be logical that that could happen. I don't feel like I'm to blame for any of those things that happened.
So that's it for this week's episode of Everytown. Hope y'all enjoyed it. If you're looking for a creepy thriller movie to watch, you can check out the one that the team from Everytown made entirely for free, either on YouTube or Tubi. Links are down below. It's called An Angry Boy. I wrote and directed it, so please go check it out. Just trust me, you'll see exactly why his rage is well-deserved. Remember to come back next week for another episode filled with scary, strange, and mysterious stories, because you never know. Maybe your town will be next.